Hey guys, welcome to today's FindTheBestCarPrice.com video. Today we're going to take a look at the all-new Mercedes-Benz EQS. This is the very first Mercedes-Benz model to be all electric. Let's take a quick look and see exactly what this model is all about. So let's talk a little bit about exactly what this model is. First of all, the exterior color is Cirrus Silver, and I'll have Carrie come over here. This is a very interesting process, and we want to show you the interior here. This is black and space gray interior, and we'll get you some really good shots of the ambient lighting as we work our way through the video. But this is a very interesting car, to say the least. And being the 450 Plus, this is the kind of the base model. So what exactly is it you get beyond that? Well, let's just talk a little bit about that real quick. Of course, the EQS is now on sale this fall, and it's going to be offered in two different trim levels initially. You're going to have this 450 Plus, which is the standard rear-wheel drive model. It has a single electric motor. It's going to produce 329 horsepower and 419 pound-feet of torque. However, if you need a little extra traction, or let's face it, you want a seriously quick EV, the EQS 580 4MATIC is something you should probably consider. It adds a second motor, a front motor, and of course will be all-wheel drive, and output increases to 516 horsepower and 631 pound-feet of torque. Both models use a 107.8 kilowatt battery pack located beneath the floor. But of course, if you're really serious about horsepower and performance, there is going to be the AMG EQS that comes standard, of course, all-wheel drive, and it utilizes the same basic battery pack as the other two models, although its internal wiring is unique to the AMG model. It does use different motors and produces 649 horsepower and 700 pound-feet of torque. Opting for the AMG Dynamic Plus package allows for a tremendous power boost. The power boost function unlocks horsepower up to 751 and 752 pound-feet of torque, which should be more than enough to give a Porsche Taycan or the Tesla Model S a run for their crypto. So let's talk a little bit about the overall design of this car, and it's actually Mercedes EQ, which is a sub-brand of Mercedes-Benz. When this car was designed, the idea behind it was pure aerodynamics. So everything on the car is meant to be able to reduce drag ultimately. And so as we take a look around here, let's look at the front end here. And we've shown you some of the way the headlights work and all that kind of stuff, but I want to really focus on the overall design here. Of course, you're going to notice there's no real grille here. All of this is aerodynamic, like a race car, where the air is just going to hit the front end and literally just go around and flow over the top of the car, instead of really, you create the drag when you have the grille right here that you would normally have on a vehicle that has an engine under the hood, because obviously you need to keep that engine cool. And you'll also notice that there are no air curtains anywhere here on the front end. So there's no air curtain right here, where there would often be one where air would pass through the fender and basically through the back here on a lot of Mercedes models to increase gas mileage. So everything here engineered for the ultimate performance in the respect of lifetime on the battery. How much charge time do you have? And I'm going to give that to you shortly. But one thing that's interesting here, if you don't already know, if you're waiting for me to open the frunk here and show you what's in there, well, I can't. It's not actually a frunk. This doesn't actually open. So just something that's very interesting to note. Now, I do want to show you the remote. We'll have Carrie come in on that real quick. Something interesting that I thought about. I don't know if we'll ever see this. Tell me in the comments, would you like to see, if you owned one of these or any other Mercedes-Benz model, what about ambient lighting on the remote? Yeah, that would mean increasing the life of the battery and all that kind of stuff, but it would be interesting to see what happens. Of course, you can see the turn signal indicator built into the side view mirror right there, and there are cameras all around this car. We'll show you that shortly. By the way, guys, we're not doing a test drive today, but stay tuned because we're going to do a test drive only video. And what size are the rims? These are 20-inch rims. That is an upgrade, so that is optional equipment right there. And just working our way around here, let's see if I can get this to work, because I'm still kind of getting used to it. Okay, we'll hit the button right here, but you can push that little button I pushed on right there. I'm just not used to doing it, and have the door open, or the handle come out, I should say. Then you can open the door. And a very interesting thing to see here is the space behind the glass on the top of the door sill right here. Very interesting how that's there, not only on the front door, but on the rear door as well. So it actually continues. And something else that I thought was interesting here, I don't have the windows down right now, but when you roll the windows down, you actually have this glass right here. It stays in place, but that kind of takes kind of an old school look to me in a way, and I don't mean that as an insult towards Mercedes-Benz. But the interesting thing about that is the fact that that reminds me of a vent window, something you would have seen quite a long time ago. An important question to be answered here is, how far can you drive on one charge? Well, that is a big advantage to the 450 Plus, as it is the lowest in horsepower of available models. And Mercedes-Benz says it will drive up to 484 miles on a full charge. That is rather impressive. Now, if you go with the EQS 580-4MATIC, you're going to be looking at 410 to 420 miles on a charge, depending on the tires and wheels. So here's something interesting. You might think that there's a charge port right here. Well, there's not. Let me open that up. What you're going to find, I know most Mercedes-Benz owners will probably never do this, but if you needed to fill windshield washer fluid, that is where you do that. Very interesting. So I'll have Carrie follow me around here to the other side of the car just to show you where the charge port is. And by the way, there are a number of options for charging your Mercedes EQS, but here's where the charge port is. Basically the same place as you would have the area to fill the gas tank up if it had one, but that's what it is. And you do have multiple options. Depending on what option you use, there is a charger that can charge you up in about 30 minutes from 10% to 80%, I believe it is. But if you're using just a regular wall outlet at home, you're looking at about 11 hours to do the same thing. There are multiple options for that, things you can have installed at your house and all that kind of stuff, just so you kind of know what your options are. And here on the back end, of course, before we open everything up, you do have a little spoiler right here just to give it a little sporty look to it. EQS 450 Plus logo right there. And there are a couple of different ways that you can open this rear deck lid, or whatever you want to call it. It's really kind of almost like a hatch, but you can use the logo right here. You can push that in to open it, or you can use the function right here to open it hands-free. And the interesting thing here, there is a ridiculous amount of cargo space here. I'm very impressed with it. 22 all the way up to a maximized 63 cubic feet. That's a lot of space. We'll have Carrie come in and we'll just show you what's under the floor right here. By the way, if you want to, you can remove this floor panel right here. See if we can put that back in place and get that down real quick. How do you maximize cargo space? Let's have Carrie meet me on the other side over here. I'm going to get these door handles popped out real quick, and we'll show you exactly how to do that. There are a couple of different things here that you can do. Number one, if you're going skiing and you have the 4MATIC version so you don't get stuck in the snow, you do have a pass-through right here. There's all kinds of things you could put through there, not just the skis, but just so you know what's right there. But of course, that's not all. There are releases on the outside of the seats here. These 60-40 split seats will come all the way down. Thanks, Carrie, for taking care of that on the other side. So there's how you're going to maximize your cargo space to that 63 cubic feet that, again, I'm really impressed with that. So let's do this. I'm going to hop inside here and just give you a good view. Now, I have to say, if you're an adult, 5'10" like me, I mean, I have a ton of leg space. Not a whole lot of space left above my head right there, just so you can see. Not the end of the world, really, but you might want to sit in the front. But I have to admit, the seats right here, they have that very comfortable headrest. I could fall asleep right here and just take a quick nap. Very comfortable. And then right here, you've got a couple of USB ports right here, if you want to use those. Now, you don't have tri-zone climate control, at least not on this trim level, but you do have the air conditioning vents back here to help keep your rear seat passengers cool. And I don't know how easily we can do it. If Carrie can get a good shot of it, you do have, it's not really a panoramic sunroof. You have the front and rear sunroofs here. So that's there. It does offer a good view for your rear seat passengers especially, and there is a power shade for that. And we're actually going to close that right now because I think it'll make it a whole lot easier to see what's going on in the front seat, kind of that main area of attraction. Let's hop up there and take a look. Here we are in the main area of attraction, at least that's what I would think, the driver's compartment from the driver's seat. And as you can see, of course, you've got the 12.3-inch screen here and a much larger screen right here in the center. Now, this isn't the largest screen you can get with these models. If you step up, you will definitely get a much larger screen, and maybe we'll get to do those sometime in the future. This is just what was available here at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport today, so that's what we're doing. But as you can see, everything is very high-end here. I like the design of the steering wheel. Everything is very easy to use, and of course, you can still work your way around on screens and all that kind of stuff from the steering wheel mounted controls right here, whether it's on the screen in the center there or for the screen here on the dashboard. Basically, there's a lot you can work your way through here, and it's just so easy to see. I really like that. Everything is so simple, so easily functional. I don't know how good of an angle Carrie can get from the back seat, but I want to show you the shifter paddles here on the steering wheel. They're actually pretty large, even though you just see a very small amount right here. They're very large, very easy to use, and honestly, I think they fit this model really well because they have a look of elegance, so that's always a good thing. But let's take a look here at the center screen, and we've talked about this in other models. If you're like Monk and you don't want fingerprints on your screen, well, you can get a cover for that actually your Mercedes EQS will come with, just a plastic sheet basically that adheres to the screen. But there is nothing on the center console here to actually use, no trackpad or anything like that. So Mercedes-Benz actually going away from that, at least on some models. But let's just take a look at what you have here. Of course, you've got all the typical features, your apps, and settings for the vehicle. Let's take a look at that right there, because this is how you're going to change your interior lighting. You got the ambient lighting. That is really impressive in this car in so many different areas. So you can manage your lighting right here, and you not only have the ability to change real quick, you can even listen to what the screen does. Let's see if you can hear that. It sounds interesting how it does that, but as soon as you take your finger off of the screen, that's when the light changes. It seems that that purple probably shows up the best right there. But you can go in, of course, and change the brightness, which we've got set as high as possible for obvious reasons here in the video. You can also go into your effects here, and of course you can go in and change some things with the seats as well. You've got different settings for heat and all that kind of stuff. Very, very high end, to say the least, even here with the lowest trim level. So let me put the car into reverse and show you what the backup camera looks like. I know we're here in the photo booth at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport, but just so you can see what's there, you've got your 360-degree view camera. And listen, you hear that sound? That's actually on the outside of the car to let people know that this car is moving. So just something that comes along with these all-electric vehicles, because obviously you don't have an exhaust sound, but just to show you what's there so you can get a good close-up look at what's around the vehicle. You can also do a full shot of the 360-degree view if you want to right there, and it's just so simple to use. I really like that. And of course, there is so much here. I'm not going to take time to go into everything, but let's just look at the center console a little bit more. If you want to conceal those cup holders right there, you can. I'm going to pull that back out right there. But one thing I found was interesting, we'll try and get at the right angle here on these Bombay doors. Bombs away, right? I really like the fact that they're so easy to close. If you ever haven't done this before, if you maybe are stepping out of an older model Mercedes-Benz, I just like the fact that they're much more soft to close. They have a much more soft closing experience, we'll say. You could fit about 5 or 6 Vehicle Visionary t-shirts there in the center. And of course, you're going to have your upper console right here. You can manage the sunroof up there, the shades, if you want to leave those open or closed, all the different features and functionality you would expect to find there. But I have to say, even though this is really kind of the base model of the EQS in the 450 plus range, is going to be still very elegant. I have to say, very, very impressed. And watch this. Let me see if I can show you here. Nothing new, but just to show you that if you want to adjust the position of the headrest, you can do that as well. There's a release on the outside, on the driver and passenger side. The seats are comfortable. And real quick, I did want to discuss something you won't see on other vehicles, and that is the ambient lighting on the seats right here. I really like that. We'll kind of change that a little bit just to give you a little bit of a different view with different colors. It's not as bright as the lighting throughout the rest of the interior. Maybe that's a pretty good view right there. And for some reason, purple and blues tend to show up best. But hopefully you can see that right there. I must say, I really like what Mercedes-Benz has done here with everything. Of course, you've still got the controls here for moving the seat and adjusting the seat back and forth. Heated and ventilated seats there, and your seat memory settings, getting a tongue twist there. But interesting thing about this, if you haven't ever noticed before, when you adjust your seat, it actually looks like a seat right there. So if you've never noticed that before, you're welcome. You'll never be able to unsee it again. All right, very first thing I noticed, we've been out driving just a little bit before we turn the camera on, is how quiet the interior is. Funny thing was that Carrie's over here in the passenger seat and his door wasn't shut all the way. This particular version does not have the soft closed door, so if you don't close your door all the way, well, you have to close it again. And so it sounded like there was a lot of road noise, but there really wasn't. He closed the door all the way the second time and we got rid of that road noise. So that's the very first thing I noticed, is how quiet it is. The second thing I noticed, this is an area that I drive quite a bit. I live in this particular area of town, and so I come through here on a regular basis. This model rides really, really well. It's a very smooth driving experience. Of course, it's rear-wheel drive. And one thing I've been asked not to step on it, so we're not going to do that in today's video. But I did accelerate a little bit, but it's not, it's not anything major, even though it's making a decent amount of horsepower, but it's not, like a Tesla Model 3 Performance or anything like that. But I was still very impressed. You just kind of ease into the pedal a little bit and it does really well. But the ride quality is what really, I think, impresses me the most. Let's just drive for a second without talking. Listen to the lack of road noise. And even though we're not going all that terribly fast right now, we'll see if we can get out somewhere and get on a road where maybe we can test that out a little bit more. But it's a very interesting experience. Now, one thing that's interesting also is, and I really can't show this unless we did a nighttime test drive, but there are different lights that do different things. In fact, you can maybe see what's going on with the dashboard right here. That's just letting me kind of know what's going on. If you step on it a little bit more, the lights start to do a little bit of a different thing. It's gonna move a little faster. We're not going all that terribly fast, but see how it changed colors right there? And when you start to slow down, there's nobody around, so we can do this right here. Let's just go ahead and come to a stop. It's telling you that it's actually recharging the battery as you're slowing down. So that's very interesting. So you can see the difference in the lighting sequence on the dashboard. And one thing that I really like here, even though this is a fairly heavy vehicle, it handles really well. And that's one of the advantages of rear-wheel drive. You're gonna have different handling characteristics than you would with all-wheel drive, 4MATIC in the case of Mercedes-Benz. So we'll cruise through here, doing a little bit of speed, not too much, but a very responsive steering wheel. The steering is very good, very light actually. Usually you drive a heavier car, you don't quite get that. This corner right here will give us a little bit more of an idea. Not gonna touch the brakes at all, gonna accelerate out of the corner just a little bit. Very impressive. Of course, you get a good look at the dash. Everything here is very easy to read and very easy to use. For those of you who are stepping into a vehicle like this and saying, I really like it, it's cool, I know I need to buy a newer vehicle, but I've never had this kind of technology before. Maybe your vehicle's 30 years old or 20 years old or something like that. Mercedes-Benz does not have difficult to learn technology, so don't be afraid of that. It's not a big deal. But overall, I really like this. Maybe we should have done this after dark, which we probably could have, and maybe we will. We'll see about that in a separate test drive. But overall, I mean, what do you think, Carrie, from the passenger seat?
Very comfortable. Quiet.
I like the fact as we're coming to a stop here that when you push on the brake, it feels a little soft, but as you begin to apply more pressure, you begin to realize just because the pedal feels soft doesn't mean the brakes aren't working like they should. Like I said, I'm not going to get on it too hard, but let's just do a small acceleration test. I'm just going to kind of ease into it. I can tell that even though this isn't the most powerful EQ model you can buy from Mercedes-Benz, if you did drop the hammer on it, it's going to put you back in the seat pretty good. What is your overall impression?
I like it. I mean, it's very impressive. It really is.
How does it compare to a Tesla? We've done a Tesla Model 3. How would you compare it to the Tesla?
It's a bigger car, so it rides a lot smoother than that Tesla we were in. Less torque. It feels less torquey than that Tesla we were in. But it's a very nice car.
And I have to admit, obviously, it's a little bit bigger car. The ride's better. I haven't had the chance to drop the hammer with this one. Maybe we will in the future sometime, but like I say, we're just going to take it easy per the general manager's request from the Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport dealership. But I have to say, I think if we did drop the hammer, it would be good, but it's not going to be like that Model S, or Model 3, I should say, performance, because it doesn't have as much horsepower. But overall,
I think the Model S performance isn't about luxury either.
No.
Not as much as this.
No, it's definitely not.
I'll be glad when we can do a fully loaded version of this.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen at some point. May not be this year, might be in 2022, but we'll just take a look and see. But one thing real quick before we finish, we're getting out here onto some roads that are a little bit, that are not paved. So let's see how it sounds. Still very quiet. What do you think?
Very quiet. It's really nice. It's very smooth. It's not S-Class smooth, but it's very close.
It is. And for those who don't know, essentially this is the electric vehicle version of the S-Class. So hope everybody's enjoyed this video. We sure have. I know we enjoyed driving. It's fun to have my first driving experience, our first driving experience with this EQS 450 Plus, and so we'll be looking forward to the 580 and the AMG. And that is the quick tour of the 2022 Mercedes-Benz EQS 450 Plus. Thanks for taking the time to watch today, guys, and make sure to check out the link in the description of the video to learn more about what services we offer, the tools you can use on our website. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so, and I'll see you in our next video.